Hey everybody, another GMG review. Today we're taking a look at Adeptus Titanicus, the Horus Heresy, the Matched Play Guide. A new, very short supplement for the Titanicus game set in Warhammer 30,000 for running events and tournaments. Now, this was kind of a surprise release, to be honest with you, and is in a format not super familiar to the Titanicus line. It's in a softcover format and only counts about 50 pages. But it does contain some pretty interesting stuff, as well as some optional rules for playing match play events in like a doubles format and also narrative events tied around the events of the Horus Heresy. More so though, it contains a big resource section for writing your army lists for your Titans that, I mean, I've wanted something like this for a long time, so it's the most exciting part of the book for me. So at 54 pages, we got a full color section here, including all the new stuff, such as the War Masters, and of course the Dire Wolves. And this basically supersedes for events and organized play, playing games of Titanicus from the match play rules that are in the Titanicus rulebook. So what do you got? Well, you got your organized play section, which includes rules for building a battle group. So how do you make a battle group? It's typically a single or multiple maniples. Every Titan has to be in a maniple unless it's an auxiliary Titan, or a support Titan, or a Knight Banner, auxiliary Knight Banner. And you've got also the battle group types. You can take a Legio, or you can take a household battle group. And those two are basically going to be either all Titans or mostly Knights, although you can have Knight Banner support, obviously, in your Legio. Now, interestingly enough, you don't basically have like a flex in points the way you do in most match play games in Titanicus. You're trying to spend every single point you can to make a battle group as powerful as possible. And the standard game size is a confrontation, roughly 1,250 to 1,750 points. So you're looking at between, like if it's 2,000 points, then it's an epic clash. You get 4 stratagems. It's going to take 2.5 to 3 hours. Played on a 4x4 or 6x4. So standard game size would be confrontation. Top end 1750. You're looking at roughly a maniple of Knights with household support or a bunch of banners if you're playing a household one. So it kind of keeps like the standard maniples sort of in the forefront. You're not going to have like a if you take like a 3 Warlord Titan maniple and you give them all really good guns, you're probably clocking in at just those 3 Warlords. Whereas if you're playing with like a Corsair, you know what I mean, or a more mixed maniple like the standard ones where you can have like different battle group types, you get up to 5 Titans and have a lot of activation advantage. Of course, you have to use your Legion rules. If you're going to pull from a Legion, they should all be the same in the same maniple. And your Knight households, of course, would be the same. And then you have to declare an allegiance. They have to declare an allegiance for every battle group, and it must be the same for the rest of the battle groups in your army. So it's either traitor or loyalist. Each battle group has a leader, and then each maniple also has a Princeps Senioris. You can't have the same command trait on multiple Princeps Senioris in the same battle group, so you have to have different ones across the army. Your stratagem ham is slightly different than when you play in a normal match play game. You select a number of stratagems depending on the battle level. So 4 for skirmish, 6 for confrontation, or 8 for epic clash. And a player can select any stratagems from that hand when they actually play the game. And you can also use the ones available to your Legio or your household on top of that as well. They have to be noted on your battle group roster, and you can't change them in between games. So basically, when you're playing and you've got stratagem points, you've got 4 of them, that's your hand that you can pick from for actually like deploying on the game and stuff like that. You've got 6 deployment maps, and they're fairly standardized, so like a line of battle, fortified position, which is table quarters, corner war, a staggered front, and then confrontation and strengthened flank, so 2 different sort of like cross the battle lines. And then objectives, you'll have primaries on a D10 and secondaries on a D6, and the same for household battle groups. So if you're playing a all Titan battle group, you're going to use these. If you're using a household battle group, you're going to use those. Rules for objective markers. And then your primary objectives like retrieval, vital cargo, and these have all been streamlined. I'm not going to go through every single one, but they've all been streamlined from the ones in the original sort of like Titanicus objective cards and the most recent rulebook to be more sort of like suitable for match play and balanced. So for instance, things like vital cargo. If this objective is chosen, then after both players have finished deploying, the player with this objective must secretly choose one of their Titans that's on the battlefield, and that Titan's carrying the cargo. Make a note of which Titan is carrying the cargo. In the end phase, a Titan carrying the cargo that's within 1 inch of their opponent's battlefield edge can deliver the cargo and remove that unit from the battlefield. This unit does not count as destroyed, but plays no further part in the battle. If the Titan carrying the cargo is destroyed, place an objective marker representing the cargo where the center of the Titan's base was or deployed by the controlling player touching the Titan's base if the model is still on the table, like a silenced result. A friendly Titan within one of the marker can be activated in the movement phase or combat phase to pick up the cargo, and then counts as the activation. When it's picked up, the marker is removed and is now carrying the cargo. At the end of the battle, the player with this objective scores 25 VPs if it was delivered, 15 if it's being carried by a friendly Titan but still on the battlefield, or 5 if it's not being carried by a friendly Titan but no enemy units are within 8 of it, like if you clear it. So it's not like it's all going to break down that way. They're all 25, 15, or 5 typically. So even like secure and hold, in the battle, the player with the objective scores 5 VPs if they control one objective, 15 if it's 2, and 25 if it's 3. They're all breaking down in a similar way. The scoring was not so even in the original match play rules. And there's 10 of them. And then secondaries, things like stand tall, they all go 5, 10, 15. So like in stand tall, if this objective is chosen at the end of the battle, the player with this objective scores victory points based on the total number of points from their battle group remaining on the battlefield. So determine the points values. If it's less than 33, it's 0. 33 to 50, it's 5. 50 to 66, it's 10. And if you've lost less than, like if you have 3 Titans, you've lost one of them, and you're greater than 66, then you've got 15 victory points for it. Or for instance, deny them. If this objective is chosen, after the players have finished deploying the player, this objective must choose 2 units from the battle group that's on the battlefield, and one must be a Princeps Senioris, and the other must have a scale of at least 5 or more that is not a Princeps Senioris. The player's objective scores 10 VPs if the chosen Princeps Senioris has not been destroyed, and 5 if the second chosen unit was not destroyed either. So basically you're trying to like deny them the destruction of those units. And so they're all going to add up to a total of 15 at the maximum. Or you can score 10 or 5, you only get one of the 2 halves. So with those 2 being chosen, you're looking at 40 battle points overall for the secondaries and the primaries. And it should be noted that some objectives have the same name as the meeting engagement objectives presented in the rulebook. However, all these objectives have been changed to fit the mass play rules presented here. So after determining the objectives available to them, each player secretly chooses which of these objectives, primary and secondary, they wish to attempt. And the others are discarded. Once both players have took their objective, they reveal primary and secondaries. And you're going to roll 2 and pick 1. So it's like a random format, but then you get to pick the one that's most appropriate to. I like that a lot better than just pick one. Because if your battle group doesn't fit what you're rolling, then at least there's a bit of like a chance you're going to get something you might like better. So roll 2 dice, pick a single one, and then maximum of 40 points scored over the course of the game. And then we're into running tournaments. So this is a pretty comprehensive guide. You've got things like rules of the organizer and the referees, having a spare player, so there's no if there's a drop or you have an odd number of people, then people can play games, and recommending that there's someone that's different from the organizer, referee, and scorekeeper to ensure that the rules are not neglected while a spare player's game is regularly interrupted. Tournament rules, so miniatures, your conduct. Players must only use official Citadel and Forge World miniatures at the event. All miniatures must be fully built, based, and painted. Players must use the appropriate miniatures for their army. Conversions are permitted at the organizer's discretion as long as they only include parts from official Citadel and Forge World miniatures and clearly represent what they're meant to be. You may wish to ask for any players wishing to use conversions to submit to the organizer in advance. So, I mean, there you go. Conduct, all games of Titanicus should be played in a civil and generous way. Scoring and tiebreakers. In a tournament, players will earn a number of tournament points, TPs, depending on how they did. 3 for a win, 1 for a draw, 0 for a loss. Determining objectives during a tournament. In a one-off match play game of Titanicus, players will randomly determine 2 primary and 2 secondaries and choose which one will be their objective for the battle. During an event with multiple games, the system can be used as is, with players generating them. However, this can create considerable variance across a weekend. The other suggestion is an objective pool. They can be individual to each player or set for each round. I really like the set for each round version. So basically the TO or the event coordinator will roll the pool, and then all players across all the tables will then play that game. That's a very similar format to games like Malifaux used to use that, have like a scheme pool that you generate normally across the entire like mission, and then you have to choose from it. That seems like the fairest way to do an event. I would probably do it that way. And that basically you then will have them over the course of the weekend that you've had to play basically different games, but everyone's played had the same chance to play basically. And there's some alternatives there as well. Ranking and tiebreakers. During the course of the tournament, players ranked based on their tournament points. The more TPs they have, the higher their ranking. Where players are tied, there are a number of tiebreakers that can be in place. The first one is victory point difference, which is equal to the number of VPs scored across all their games so far, minus the number of VPs conceded across all games. So you total up all the VPs you've scored out of the potential. So, for example, if a player scored 2 games as a result of 25 to 7 and 35-0, the victory point difference would be 53. If players are still tied, the second tiebreaker is the total number of VPs scored across all the players' games, i.e. the above example of the player would have 60 total VPs. If a player is still tied, the third tiebreak is the number of battle group leaders each player has destroyed across all their games. So just different tiebreaks based on their overall scoring. Pairing systems, oh my god, it gets pretty detailed. And then doubles events, playing doubles teams with doubles deployment maps for player A and player B, which I thought was kind of cool. And then narrative events, as a narrative would suggest, a key component of narrative events is a narrative, with the overarching story serving as the foundation of the event. This can be based upon pre-existing background or something that you create yourself. Picking factions and battle groups, doing their rankings. And then as you're doing narrative events, here's a huge menu of different like battlefield rules you could have, like gas pockets or automated defenses. Now, after a unit with a movement moves in the movement phase, roll a d10. On a 1 or 2, the Titans triggered the facility's automatic defenses and takes d6 strength 4 hits, as if resolving an attack from a shield bane weapon. Holy crap. Sunlocked. Whenever you push a reactor, roll an additional reactor dice and apply the worst result. Thick foliage, corrosive downpour, refined artifice. If a player's faction has this conquest benefit, conquest benefits are separate. I'm off the battlefield rules. Conquest benefits are additional rules that represent the spoils of war from past victories. So your faction or your side in a narrative event could get these, basically like capturing objectives or winning a round. So when you divide into loyalist and traitor, you total up the victories loyalist and traitor wise, and depending upon the mission, you can have one of these be the thing you win if you get that mission. So things like the refined artifice. If a player's faction has this conquest benefit, friendly units apply a +1 modifier to all repair dice when repairing weapons. So a weapon normally repaired on a 4 would be repaired on a 3, etc. So little benefits you earn basically throughout by winning games. And then your battle group allegiances, so the different like loyalist and traitor benefits, and then Black Shield Titans as well, because there could be Black Shields. Same with the Night Lords, Questor Mechanicus, Questor Tritoris. And then this is my favorite part, the rules reference. Oh my god, have I been waiting for this. It's every Titan in the game and all their weapon options, all the rules for those weapons and their costs. No having to dig through cards, no having to figure out where you lost your like Inferno gun arm. All the current point costs, all the current rules in a single weapon chart for each Titan. So Warhound Scout Titan, bam, all the different arms you can possibly give it. Warbringer Nemesis, bam, all the different weapons you can possibly give it. Warmaster Iconoclast, Warmaster Heavy Battle Titan, Direwolves. Oh my god, it's all here. Could you imagine you take a Warmaster in a 1750 point game and it's half your army? Oh my god. And then the Warlords, this Warlord Sinister Psi Titan, the Reaver Battle Titan, all right there. Just everything in charts. Man, these 4 pages made me happier than anything, or 5 pages made me happier than anything else in this whole book. 5 or 6? It's 6, it's 6, isn't it? Yeah, it's just every Titan, just bam, right there. Everything you need. And then weapon traits. So it also kind of has all of the things you might need for reference when you're playing a match play game. So think of this a little bit like looking at the General's Handbook or looking at the chapter approved book for 40K, except for Titanicus. I think, honestly, if you're not even going to play in a match play event, this is great just for having all of the like narrative play rules in it, on top of all of the loyalist and traitor like core rules for the appendix, and then having this chart right here. Like the last, where does this section start? The last in the appendix, the additional rules, the battlefield rules, pages 34 on. The last half of this book is stuff every single Titanicus player is like dying for, and not to just carry like little things everywhere. I'm sure people are telling me, Ash, I play Titanicus all the time. I have all this stuff memorized. Sure. But trust me, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to be super happy to see this, and having it all in one place is really nice, and having it all be current, right? It's not, there's no requirements for like printing off any kind of FAQs or, you know, erratas or anything like that. This is all just the current stuff all printed out and all in one place. So at 56 pages, nice slim soft cover. This can fit in with your rule book, and you've got all your reference charts, and then this, the weapons chart for doing your lists. I really hope they do a downloadable data sheet for the events. That's the one thing I would like to see as a battle group like print sheet. I was hoping that would be in here and it wasn't. It's literally the only thing I think it's missing from here. Give me like a battle group reference sheet where you can note all this stuff down and basically use these charts to fill out your army list, and this book's gold. So again, I don't know how much this book costs because I never know what these things cost out before they send them to me and I actually see them. I just know what it looks like and what it is. It is a 56-page soft cover, but it is in full color, and the last third of this book is incredibly handy reference material and all current rules for your allegiances, your battle groups, and your weapon charts and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm more happy about this back part than I am, but almost the entire thing. I'm excited. I mean, I probably will never play in a match play event for Titanicus, but just for my normal games Titanicus, to be able to quickly make an army list, if they can put up a free downloadable, print and fillable PDF for the battle groups, that would be amazing, and then I would be pumped to use everything in this book. So big thanks for watching. That's my GMG review of the Titanicus Horus Heresy Match Play Guide. Until next time, Ash. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My two kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continue to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.